Oh, there it goes.
Loading right now.
All right.
Welcome everyone to the Board of Trustee meeting for Orange Township. It's March 1st, 2021. Ms. Kraft, if you could please call roll.
Sure. Mr. Rumbles,
Here.
Ms. Tranto,
Here.
Mr. Rivers.
Here.
Items tonight on the consent agenda. Are there any concerns with consent agenda items or objections?
I do not have any.
Trustee Taranto, any concerns?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
And I believe the consent agenda carries us through several resolutions, the last of which is 077, is that correct?
Well, the way I believe we did it, Trustee Grumbles, because we weren't sure with the number of items that Mr. Cowan was having on.
7, is that correct?
We put it also on the regular agenda, so I can't quite see it all, but I think you would just need to approve the consent agenda like normal. You don't have to do those individual resolutions, but it's whatever the board feels like. We were trying to make it easy if somebody wanted to take something off the consent
Right.
agenda.
Yeah, I think in the past, we've always read the resolution numbers for the consent agenda. I could be mistaken.
That's correct.
So, okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda resolution 21-072, 21-073, 21-074, 21-075, 21-076, and 21-077.
Second?
Mr. Rumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Tranto,
Yes.
Mr. Rivers.
Yes.
Looks like from there, we will transition into operations, or sorry, development and zoning report. The agenda itself has the template rather has the operations items next. So we'll stick with the agenda that I've managed to find this week. So apologize for last week, but Ms. Bonnie, if you want to start with development and zoning, if you have anything to cover.
I don't think there's anything to cover this week.
There is not.
Okay. I know that there's a pending application of interest, so I didn't know if there was any comments you wanted to always ask, even if there's nothing on the agenda. Mr. Cowan, operations. So for you, I think we'll pick up at the rugby. I think was what was the first swimming.
Yep.
You can go over all your items if you want, even if they were in the consent agenda. It's up to you.
I did want to make a comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that. Resolution, I think it was 21-075, the payments for North Road multi-use trail easements. I did send backup for that resolution, and I just wanted to thank the residents for being so cooperative, and allowing our folks from Dunrobin to put those easements together. This has been a project really looking forward to getting up and running, and that's kind of follows into one of the CORDA resolutions that was approved, and that was the engineering and design for the multi-use trail along North Road. So, those three easements are going to allow us to connect from Shanahan Road, almost the farthest point north in the township, where you get on the trail, head south on North Road, cross over, hit the trail, follow it parallel to the railroad track. I mean, you go from the north to south end of Orange Township pretty easily now, so it's pretty exciting. And plus, we're working on the east and west corridors as well. So I just want to thank those residents for being so cooperative. Also, in the quarter resolution, there were two prices mentioned. I'm kind of thumbing through here. I'm sorry, Sharon, you kind of blew me away when you approved all the resolutions at one time. You threw me off my game. Anyway, there were two prices in the 1 quarter resolution that if we can combine the trail project with a row park playground project, the fees will be less by around, I think it was $5,000, I think it was. So I've been having conversations with Mr. Vogel about doing that simply because the playground project for Row Park that we're looking at, also it requires asphalt, it requires concrete, the same components, bedding materials, the same components that Northwood Trail would require. So we're looking at doing that. The price you approved this evening was for the higher cost, just because going into that, we're not sure. So it could be less in the end by around 5,000. Depends on how that project shakes out. So
We could just do amendment, I assume, at the next meeting if that happens.
well, we probably won't be ready for the next meeting until we get further into the design of the Row Park. They're making spending a lot of time on that project, so that's probably close, but probably not for the next meeting, but soon.
Can you check with them on that? And that's for the ADA, the ADA improvements and such. Is that correct?
That's correct. The new soft surface and some new ADA equipment at the Row Park.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was out this weekend at the park, and it's ready for the new surface. That's for sure. So
my.
perfect timing.
Okay.
I know those don't last forever, so it's good. It's all in good timing, and look forward to that. But Andrew, if you could, Mr. King, if you could make a note of that as an action, a transition action, we can follow up with.
Val, I think the spot we're on that template that you're on is we're at operations. You're going to see True Green Commercial. That's the spot we're on that.
All the way at the top.
Yeah.
They're all operations. So you got to.
Yeah, page 2, I think.
And while she scrolls there, I just want to confirm for the journal. So under old business, so for carryover for the next time under old business, we'll be combining quarter contracts for cost with quarter contracts for which parks?
Row Park.
There's
Okay.
separate, yeah, with Row Park, and that's a possibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess Trustee Grumbles, Chairman Grumbles, I guess the next item I have is for the resolution for the rugby agreements. And that's down on page 8.
Are we going to do True Green and skip down or?
We already did that in the it was all in the consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, and I think what I mentioned to him was, and I'd done this before, if the department heads don't have anything on the agenda, I always try and recognize them anyway in case there's items worth noting to the public. And then even when it's in the consent agenda, if there's value add that's worth noting briefly, then give them a chance to do it. So he was sharing that there's potential scale with getting both projects at the same time. And then I know with True Green, I did have a question, probably should have asked before, but when I looked at that check and the invoice and signing it this past week, I thought it was just for us, like one period of the spring application for the parks, right? Are they gonna Is that one annual application for grubs, or is it something they come back and do again? The resolution reads as it's more of an annual contract, but it looked, when I saw the bill, like it was more of a one-time fee.
So the True Green is one application early spring for, I believe it's for grubs. And then they do 2 or 3, here I go, I'm looking at it. They do a preventative treatment for grubs early in the year at each park. Then they provide an early spring fertilizer, a late spring fertilizer, and then an early fall fertilizer at each park. So they come out 4 times and do each park.
And that's all included in the 22,000, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Yep.
We had some dialogue about kind of a weird topic to be, I guess, that deeply rooted, engaged in, but we had conversations because there were periodic, if you recall, Mr. Cowan, fertilizer charges associated with other providers that popped up in the past. So
yeah,
we had talked about this. So, okay, that's great. And appreciate your detail.
I could just add one more thing. I not only submitted a purchase order, which were part of the initial business, I also submitted resolutions simply because these have agreements attached to them that need to be approved and signed. And I don't know, maybe my thinking was maybe approving the purchase orders that automatically approves signing agreements. I don't know, but that's the reason it's kind of duplicate here.
That's perfect. I appreciate the effort, Mr. Cowan. It was my own confusion in reading it when I was in the office this week, and I believe I did sign the PO. So
yeah, as long as we can have the agreement signed, we're good, along with the POs. If that makes any sense. But thank you.
Yep. And if you need me to sign that, I can stop in and do it.
I think it's set up for Andrew to sign.
Right.
Okay, so I have the rugby agreement up for use, field use agreement, Olentangy Rugby. We did an agreement earlier in the year for them, but they came back wanting to lease 3 more Saturday afternoons for like 2 or 4 hours a piece. So it's only like a $60 agreement. So what their fee is for this. So it's very minimal field use, and the field's available. That's on page 8, Valerie.
Right. 78. Make a motion to approve resolution 21-078. Enter into agreement with Olentangy Rugby for use of recreational premises located at North Orange Park.
Second?
Mr. Rumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Taranto,
Yes.
Mr. Rivers.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. I guess moving on, the next item I have is the resolution to accept the bid and award the contract for the swimming pool and concession stand. I'm sure they want to have some discussion about that.
I think we'll have to wait on the concession component until we have clarity, but I assume in talking with Mr. Betts that the contract contained the flexibility to discuss that with whichever path we go here. And I believe the recommendation for this was with the Columbus organization. Is that correct?
Well, we had 2 bidders. Columbus Pool Management, with a 3-year contract, is the lowest bidder. And their bid amount was $747,327, again for 3-year contract. And the next bidder, second bidder, Swim Safe Pool Management, was $750,000 even for the same contract.
And these prices are consistent with what we got last year? Are they close?
There's the exact same bid price, yes.
Okay. I know there was some concern last year that we would lose the pricing benefit, so I'm glad to see that didn't take place. Is there and in the past, Mr. Cowan, who did we use?
Well, unfortunately, I've only been here through one pool season, and that season was with Columbus Pool Management. I understand they've been operators of our pool and concession stand for some time.
And I understood in speaking with you this week, in looking at the bid packages, there was no significant factor that would justify not accepting the lowest bid, technically acceptable, if you will.
That's correct. Both bids were in good order. Insurance requirements were met for both bidders. All the documents were signed and needed to be signed and submitted that needed to be submitted. So, other than a few $1,000s that separates them, they both had good references in their bid packets.
Any concerns with for the other board members on moving forward with the lowest bid?
I do not.
Yeah, I'm fine with the recommendation.
Make a motion to approve resolution 79-021. Or sorry, 21-079, accepting the bid and awarding the contract for the 2021 to 2023 contract for swimming pool and concession stand operation and management.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Grumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Tranto,
Yes.
Mr. Rivers.
Yes.
I want to make clear too, for sake of the record, that we are awarding that to Columbus Pool Management.
The next item I have on the agenda is an amendment to a resolution. I presented to the board a few meetings back a list of roads that needed to be approved, and then we forwarded that to the county engineer's office. I mistakenly was working off of a list that was sent to me from October, not knowing that the list had been revised in December. The list I sent to you and you folks approved at the meeting was from October. After I sent that to the county engineer's office, I was alerted to the fact that 2 more roads were added and a new list was sent to me in December 23rd. Somehow I just missed that email. We added the amendment includes adding the 2 additional streets. And the 2 streets, with the 2 streets, we're still well within our budgeted amount for that work for next year. So just looking for your approval for the revised list, and I'll send that back.
Thank you, Bill. Make a motion to approve resolution 21-080, amend resolution number 21-045 to approve Delaware County Engineers 2021 Orange Township Road Improvement Project with the updated estimate.
Second.
Mr. Grumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Tranto,
Yes.
Mr. Rivers.
Yes.
Thank you for that as well. And I think that may be all that I have.
Hey, Bill, it's Lisa. Can I ask you a quick question about 21-076? Resolution 21-076. You have both 76 and 77 have the same amount in them, the 23,750. Was 21-076 supposed to be for the $117,873?
Yes, that 21076 is separate. That's for the Lewis Center Trail Phase 3 project.
Right, and if we look up in the consent agenda, that has that project at 117,873, but in here it's listed at 23,750. You see what I'm talking about?
23,750.
So Val, if you go back up to the consent agenda, because that says right there, Lewis Center Trail
Yeah.
Phase 3.
Phase 3 has 117,873, and then the North Road Trail and Engineering and Design had 23,750.
Okay.
Right, and if you read those two resolutions, both of them have 23,750 in it.
I think it's a misunderstanding. It's correct. The resolution 21076 is for the Lewis Center Trail Phase 3. And their engineering fees are 117,873. And that matches the consent agenda for Lewis Center Trail Phase 3 agreement, 117,873.
But it doesn't match the resolution down below. I'm sorry to make an issue out of this, but if you look at 076 down below.
The verbiage of the resolution itself is incorrectly annotated. It's got the wrong number in the
Yeah.
template.
Yep, right there.
Yeah.
You just went by it, Val. That's right there. Point A says the board is approving 23,750, not 117,873.
23,750 is resolution 21077. Am I?
Well, it's also 21,076 according to this.
So I have a template here that was approved today, in 21076, the copy that I have indicates 117,873,
Same here.
Okay, with this.
and 77 indicates 23,750.
Same here.
Okay, well, then this one.
That matches the consent agenda.
Correct.
Okay, so then what we're seeing on the screen isn't correct.
Sounds like the one on the screen is the older. Yep, that's the older one. It doesn't look like that's the most recent template, or else something got flipped, because I have the final template open here and it's correct.
Okay, well, it got changed. Some of the numbering was incorrect, so Val went back and made some corrections. So I don't know if in that
Okay.
this got changed.
Lisa, I think you're right. The one on the screen, it does have the error in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, I don't know what changes were made, but I have the right template and the rest of the board does, and that should be the template of record.
I have the same.
Okay, so we're good. So I'll just make sure it's correct in the journal. Thank you.
Mr. King, can we work to get the right template pulled up for visual on? I know what we read is officially the record.
I'm pulling it up right now, so let me
Okay.
take a look.
Just swap them out on the screen if we need to. We got rugby done. We're I believe from an agenda standpoint, Bill, the only thing that I didn't hear, and I believe we covered this prior, was on the agenda, the ODOT mileage certification forms. That's on our agenda.
Yeah, thank you for that. I do have that as sort of just a separate item here. Mary Ann says she's dealt with this every year. Said the board normally has to give their consent to this, and then we submit it back to the, I think this goes back to ODOT.
Yeah, I thought we had done that in a prior meeting. I could be mistaken, but I thought we had approved mileage certification. Maybe it was at the county level. Like the counties reported up the mileage that I just recall there being a mileage discussion, I think 1 or 2 meetings ago.
Yeah.
It indifferent and something we've got to deal with now. But I have no concerns with the proposal.
This is what was sent to Mary Ann. So.
And I think you're thinking of, and I thought it too, just FYI, I had to keep looking at it, because normally when we accept mileage, it's from the county and we agree to accept 0.02 miles from this section of the road or whatever. And then we add that on to our current mileage, and it's quite a long resolution accepting all, that mileage. So I do think that this is different. I think ODOT is different from the one that you and I both were thinking of.
Yeah, I think we already did the county one. Now we're doing ODOTs. That's correct. Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Right.
thank you for reminding me of that. Again, Mary Ann said it just needs a simple board's consent to.
You have my consent, and I'll yield to the other two board members for theirs.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
So
Sir.
noted.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for catching that in the visual too, Ms. Kraft. I appreciate that. It's good to have the clarity on that type issue. We'll have mistakes, so making it right on the record is the most important thing. I know that I don't see anything, Chief Rice, if you have any comments or any notes to share this meeting before we shift over to fiscal office report.
He does not.
Okay. Ms. Kraft.
All right, thank you. Just a couple things tonight. You should have received the email. I did approve the Ohio checkbook data to be uploaded, so that should be available to the public in the next probably 5 business days. A quick update on the audit. I did hear from our auditor this week, so that is to begin soon. He's getting together the information requests, and we've already gotten him some of the reports that he needs to start things kind of off-site. I would guess, about 4 to 6 weeks to get this completed. So they are going to be on site unless anybody has an issue with that. We'll kind of put them back in that back room with the fireplace. They'll be on site, probably 2 of them for about a week. And my guess is it'll be late March or early April when they'll be up on site, but I'll keep everybody updated as I learn more.
Ms. Kraft.
Yeah.
With the audit, is there any specific effort or action you need from the board? It'll be my first experience with that.
No, we'll have a kickoff meeting that you guys will be invited to. And then they may want to use my experience with previous audits is they usually like to interview management. I would consider you 3 management. So Debbie would probably have better, Debbie or Ryan would probably have better insight into that, but I'm guessing that they may have questions for you guys on processes or concerns or anything like that.
Sure. All right, great. Thank you.
January 2021, January was closed last week, and just as some of the quick highlights of the reports that are back in Leanne's office for you guys to review. Our ending cash balance was $23,562,421.03. So we're still in a good cash position. Our investments currently are about $19 million, with $8.6 million at Fifth Third and 10 at Star Ohio. Our fund or department cash balances are about $5.9 million in our general fund, $4.5 million in our roads fund, $6 million in our fire fund, and $5.1 in our parks fund. Our expenses for the first month of the year were $1.3 million, and we had tax revenue of about 4.4 million, or not 0.4 million, 400,000. So that is a quick highlight of January 2021. Any
And
questions?
yeah, and I know I sent you a couple of notes on that, and you responded. I didn't have a chance to call you yet today, but the dashboard that you put together, I appreciate the metrics and transparency in reporting that to not only us but the public. When you look at that operationally, obviously there's, you would naturally, if you've operated before, ran a business, you'd see some of those numbers as concerning with the spend and revenue comparison. But when my response to you was more rooted in that tax receipts come in at different times, and we have fluctuating amounts of obligations and expenses. So the proposal was to add, like in the business sector, they would call it unearned revenue, if you will. So the auditor might be able to tell us what we would expect revenue-wise, tax revenue-wise for the year. That would be an unearned revenue until it was released to us, or projected revenue, or whatever you want to call it. And then we would similarly, we would have a liability type bucket that would show obligated funds or expected obligations, or appropriations. So we would have a good, almost like a forecast. That way, it wouldn't be, unless we should be really concerned with what, what we saw in the glimpse, but that would give us a good longer term, short term kind of look. But I appreciated having any look. So I thank you again for your efforts.
No
Does that
problem.
make sense what I was getting at there?
Yeah, yeah, we do have these kind of big, big jumps in when we get our revenue based on, we all just wrote our property tax bills. Well, those of us that don't escrow just wrote our property tax bills last month. So we'll start to see that money come in also. But that's something I know that Delaware County, I think, does have that information. They project, if not, it's something that we can calculate based on, assuming, some kind of, uncollectible, we should be able to, based on our mills, we can figure that out. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. And then I just have one resolution. At the last meeting, you all approved the appropriations for the CARES Act. Money that we didn't know we were going to have for 2021 carried over. So now it's just putting in place some super blankets so we can continue to buy PPE or cleaning supplies or whatever other items. Anything over 10,000 obviously will come to the board, but just want some ability to pay some of those invoices we have for some PPE and things like that. And that's it.
All right, Ms. Graff, thank you for your updates. Appreciate that and your efforts. Make a motion to approve resolution 21-081, accepting and approving super blanket certificates.
Second.
Mr. Grumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Taranto,
Yes.
Mr. Rivers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. King, administrative report.
Yes, sir. So this is just a technical correction. This goes back to the trail agreement from the last meeting when it was sent back over to the trails group. They realized they sent us the wrong version. So this is the correct version and will be the one that will be signed by the commissioner. So just asking the board to essentially repeal the last one. This was what Chris recommended, Chris Betts, and then replace it with this new agreement.
Right. Make a motion to approve resolution 21-082, repeal and replace resolution 21-046, recreational trail grant agreement between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and the Orange Township Board of Trustees.
Second. Second.
Got it. Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I didn't lose you guys. Ms. Taranto?
Yes.
Mr. Rivers?
Yes.
All right, Mr. King.
Bit of an agreement, so it's a bit of scrolling right here. All right, so the next item is, as the resolution says, our operations director, Bill Cowan, is going to be leaving us on March 20th. It's right there. So I, wanted to put this on the agenda to take a moment and recognize that it's been good working with Bill. And I don't know if he will want to say anything himself, but I'm sad to see him go. I've been trying to twist his arm gently and not so gently to get him to stay. But I think he's got a great opportunity to get back home, to get to see his wife on a daily basis. And, I can't fault him for that. So I'm sad to see him go. And just, Bill, I don't know if you want to say anything. But again, I think you've been a great asset, great to work with. I'm sad to see you go. And I'll keep working on you till you walk out the door on the 20th.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and it's truly been an honor to be part of your staff here. And I just hope that I leave it in a little better shape than when I got here. I think we've got a lot of things up and running. My predecessor did a wonderful job laying the foundation for all these trails and just all the hard work she's done. So I hope I've added to that a little bit. And as I told Andrew, I won't leave anybody stuck with something. And just like the note that was made earlier in the meeting about doing something with the project, I fully intend on leaving good instructions and for everyone, whoever comes on board here, and so they won't be quite so lost and be able to pick up and move forward. So thank you very much.
Good luck to you, Bill.
Thank you.
Bill, I personally can't thank you enough for your work ethic and demeanor and the professionalism you brought to the team, the way you handle yourself, the class that you demonstrate, even in your transitional words. I know we found out we had some mutual acquaintances, and you shared some things with me about your current setup, and as someone who traveled for work for an extended period of time, it did nothing but to extend the respect I had for you, because it's tough and it's sacrifice, and I know your work ethic and what you've been able to do in this past year, considering the hand we were all dealt, the world was dealt. It really speaks to your character. When I came in the office after finding out and saw you organizing a transition process for your successor and for Mr. King and the board, the stacks of paper, the notes, and the manner in which you operate is truly to be commended. And I want to recognize you for your integrity, your hard work, and just for being a world-class human being more than anything. I think that matters a lot. It matters to me personally more than most other things that can be taught or obtained. But being a good, decent person is the most important, and you certainly embody that. And I'll miss you. I hope our paths cross again. I can't thank you enough for not only what you did, but the way you did it. You've got a real grace about you and calming demeanor that it's wonderful to have on the team. And I know you've been through a lot in your time at Orange Township, along with your peers. And I thank all of you, but I appreciate everything you've done.
Well, thank you for your kind words.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill, for all of your hard work, your efforts, like the team. Obviously, everyone's sad to see you go, but we all understand there's no place like home, right?
That's true. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Well, if the board would just administratively accept the resignation, and I'll work with Val as March 20th approaches to handle all the rest of the stuff. But again, I'm sad to see Bill go.
And we'll work with you, Mr. King and Bill. I'll work with both of you all to any way I can to help with transitional stuff in preparation for that. In the interim, we'll make a motion to approve resolution 21-083, regretfully accept the resignation of William Cowan from his position as Director of Operations.
Second.
Mr. Rumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Taranto,
Yes.
Mr. Rivers.
Yes.
Well, the last major thing, I'll just sort of add, I plan to work with getting something posted and talking with Bill about his successor. So I'm sure I'll update the board as as we move forward in that process. But the last thing I just sort of wanted to bring up for discussion is, with the new newsletter and the new chair and change of the board, I sort of wanted to bring forward the opportunities that exist with Guide. They're essentially a full service type of operation, so they can certainly continue to help us with the newsletter, the content generation, putting the newsletter together, all that kind of stuff. They also have some opportunities to work with them on some sort of broader messaging. They can help us with some of our social media posting and press releases and things like that. And, with going into this year, especially with now having the Parks Master Plan starting to heat up and some other things on the horizon, I thought it might be good to consider, really fully engaging with Guide on the variety of services they use. Because right now we use them for the website, or soon will be. We are using them to design the website, and we'll use them for the website going forward. And we have been using them for the newsletter. So I believe Trustee Grumbles, I don't think I'm stepping on you, but I think you've had some conversations with them too. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on this realm as well.
No, I sent out the email. They forwarded to me, to everyone. And I did that for transparency's sake. And then I had a call with Guide. I know I talked with you briefly about it, but really before I did that, you had mentioned this to me as an option. And then I got the email and had the follow-up conversation with Guide. And I sent notes out to all the department heads, as well as board members and fiscal office, as far as topics and content and the details of the email I was sent, so that everyone is informed. What I want to make sure of with the newsletter this year is that we align on that and we're on the same page as far as what to expect and where we take it, longer term. And I agree with you. And I know this seed was planted last year, and then we had, all the mess and shakeup of COVID and things, but Guide had been involved, and we got this new newsletter. And in talking with them, they had kind of offered in transitioning to two paths, and then they had some internal transition that threw a curveball into the mix as well. But here we are today, and I thought their proposal was very fair from a financial standpoint. It's certainly much more affordable than having a dedicated person on staff. But what I spoke to them about was coming in and meeting with the group, for a few minutes or however long, about content and ideas, and then collectively putting everything together into a timeline and almost like a template. And I did ask them, of course, we would retain a portion of each newsletter for, updates and things like that, but we would have some sort of roadmap that would help us out. And we looked at the two newsletters that went out with the new format, the most recent two, and kind of talked about some of the areas where we might split the page so we can have different things. One thing this year that I want to do is on the front of the old newsletter, there's a spotlight or the new newsletter rather, there's a spotlight. It might say what's next for, Orange Township Parks was one of the summer, and the next one was Election Day. I'm going to utilize that spotlight section to highlight. I want to work with the board and Mr. King to highlight employees, to recognize someone on the team that's been doing a wonderful job, that we want to, say some kind words in gratitude and express our gratitude to them for all their efforts, especially given this past year, and what we've seen out of our group. And the chairman section will be more of a outline of what's going to be on the inside of the newsletter, and kind of lead the the readers into a summary level with maybe one paragraph. And then flipping into the content, we can chop that up. They have a really good template that, that we can gauge like from a word count. And then I think when we get topics put together, it'll make a lot of sense. I talked with the fiscal officer about some things she's going to work on. And I know Guides worked with Lisa before. So they brought that up that they can, quickly get up to speed on I think they did an article with you before, if that's correct, Ms. Kraft. She mentioned, kind of understanding how to help there and work with you. And then, we each have kind of our own interests and stuff. So it would be good to get that out and we can balance it that way and have a nice approach to the newsletter. But if the board is in agreement with that, the price on this, it wasn't something that was significant, we would have to come and get a PO and all that for, but I wanted to extend the invitation to the team to work together on this and be clear about the intent.
Well, I think Guy if I may, Mr. Chair, did a wonderful job with the branding project. Obviously, no one's more in tune with where Orange is today, and as far as the communication side, do a wonderful job. So this was all goes back to the beginning of the branding project and what was approved, and just a continuation of those efforts. And I think we've made a lot of progress, and it's going in the right direction.
I agree. It makes sense to keep them engaged, and especially with the website, they actually mentioned in conversation too a combined media kind of package or effort where we can have residents that opt in to via the different listserv type things to getting electronic newsletters, and really look at them for help potentially too on the social media front, just for updates and good news blurbs and things like that they could help automate, that are associated with the newsletter, website, et cetera, that all, the way they explained it, that all could be automated for the most part. So it'd be pretty affordable after that one-time setup, which all of their prices were, I thought, reasonable, but would allow us to really keep everyone informed. And they were great to talk to. I mean, I'd never met with them before, but the person I spoke with was fantastic. It couldn't have been easier to work with. Last note on that, she was very open to how we develop content, noting that in the past when they've worked with other communities, the other thing is they've also worked with the folks doing our Parks Master Plan. They have a working relationship with them, so couldn't be more favorable here from communicating and working with the community on outreach efforts associated with the master plan. So they had said with other communities, some folks like to send them like an outline, template type of bullet points of what they want to talk through, and then have a phone call to kind of talk out and flesh out the detail. And then they have one of their persons, help with the actual verbiage part. Other people like to write their own articles, and they'll edit those for grammar. They offer a full, wide array of services, but their price is based on the most, I guess, involved. So she said, as they understand our mix and dynamic and what we want to do, they'll revise their pricing accordingly, and they're flexible with that. So I thought that was also favorable. It might even be cheaper. And so just looking for consent to move ahead on that path from the other board members.
Yes.
Ms. Kraft, I would ask, I know you're not officially a a trustee, but I would ask for your blessing on this too, since you'll be involved in helping with content.
No, I've done my due diligence on Guy through the branding stuff, so they're good to work with on this kind of stuff. So you guys, that's a good firm to continue to partner with. So I'm going to go ahead and note consent to move forward with guide and newsletter development.
All right.
All right, duly noted. Thank you.
Mr. King, any old business to update us on? I know we had some discussion with the county in the past, and any updates that we've heard?
Well, I mean, I can just give you the sort of the very brief update. I think we had a positive conversation with Mike Fromer and his counsel, and I'm optimistic still that we're going to have some good news moving forward. I mean, just like everything else, it takes a bit of time. So I'll certainly report back to the board once that's sorted out. So I since you're giving me an extra moment here, I'd like to just sort of call out sort of two other things. Is I wanted to publicly thank Val for she's put together some of our certificates of appreciation. And, I think she was the genesis behind some of the cards and stuff that we've started doing. So, I wanted to give her credit for that. And then, as part of the Parks Master Plan, I reached out to Miss Bonnie and her staff and said, hey, we started a GIS project on the trails, and, where's that at? So Jeff sort of picked that up. We had a great meeting on that. She and her staff are reaching out to the auditor and the county engineer to get some of that GIS data. I happened to have a conversation today with the county about sort of the trails, the county trails, parks preservation trails, and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's some really good momentum for sharing some data, working together on some common problems, and maybe folding some of that information into our Parks Master Plan. So, I just wanted to thank Michelle and her staff for being very responsive. Jeff Beard, he's sort of taken over the GIS, and they were very responsive and taking ownership on that. And then, again, thank Val for what she's doing. I know, she gets a little stressed about getting on here and doing this meeting by herself. And so I just, again, wanted to thank her and all she does.
Thank you, Mr. King, and I would echo gratitude for Val. I think she's been a wonderful addition to the team, and the seemingly small things that are being done for engagement and morale and things like that, they mean a lot, and I know folks appreciate it. So I appreciate the thoughtfulness and the effort that goes into that and coordinating that. So in transitioning into the meetings and taking that over, in addition to the benefits, and I appreciate you trying to double our pay this pay period as well. But no, I'm joking. I know that was CBiz, but we'll get all that ironed out, and it'll be better in the long term. So appreciate all the effort and work. And change is never easy. So thank you. Anything else from fellow board members tonight?
I do not.
I do not have anything.
All right. With that, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Sec-
Mr. Grumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Tranto, Ms. Tranto,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rivers.
Yes.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for your time.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.